What's going on, everybody? My name is Echo Codex and welcome back to the channel. Today we have the Airwalker Apex Coliseum fights. Now this fight was a little bit annoying, to be honest, and there weren't very many great options, but I wanted to show off two fights. The first fight is here with Anti-Venom, which I think is considered to be one of the better options for this fight just because of his regen on block. Now with Airwalker, there aren't very many nodes that you have to worry about. It's just kind of his basic abilities in the normal Coliseum nodes. So every time he throws that SP1, you're going to want to block the last hit so you don't get the Dark Tide debuffs on you, because you will have that permanent armor break on you. So if you do get a Dark Tide debuff on you, you're going to be taking a lot of damage, and if it's passive, you're just going to, if you get the passive on you, it's just game over. You're just going to instant back from that. So the indefinite armor break will definitely give you some willpower healing if you can keep it up without any Dark Tide debuffs on you. And the important thing to note is that you're actually going to be purifying debuffs from the node every time you throw a special attack based on the level of power that you're throwing. So an SP1 is going to purify 1 debuff, an SP2 is going to purify 2 debuffs, and an SP3 is going to purify 3 debuffs, not including armor break debuffs. So it's basically just those Dark Tides that you're going to be purifying off yourself. So the main goal of this fight with Anti-Venom is to get to that SP3, SP1, SP2, and then refresh the passive using our SP1s here. So yeah, you can see here I threw the SP1 into the block, a little bit of a misplay here, but with Anti-Venom's healing combined with willpower healing from that arm break debuff, we're going to be doing just fine. That's the reason Anti-Venom works so well with this, is because he has a ton of healing, because you are guaranteed to take some block hits just based on Airwalker's base kit. You know, you don't want to be dodging his specials, you want to be blocking the last hit, which is why you want to be baiting out SP1s, because SP2, it's pretty hard to just block the last hit. You gotta block like the whole beam, and that is going to add up to a lot of block damage once we get past like 5 bars of power. So here we have built up our passive. We just want to go for an SP2 here probably and get those Furies up, and then rush up to an SP1 and refresh our passive here. Unfortunately, it does fall off, so we are going to have to go back to our SP3 to restart our cycle here. We do have that Dark Tide debuff on us, so we are going to be taking a bit of damage here for the time being until we get back up to our SP3. Big heavy attack from Anti-Venom there, almost 100k. Here we push with the SP2 and we're going to have to try and take that to the block, but unfortunately we just take it to the face. We're going to be going for our SP3 here. We should be able to regen quite a bit back. You see we're healing for about 1.8k a tick. Now we're going to try and go for our SP1 here if we can. Block the last hit of his SP1. Go for the SP1, put the passives on. Now we're over 5 bars here, so we're going to have to be landing heavy attacks or striker hit every few seconds. Going to weave those in, go for our SP2 to put our Furies back on ourselves. Big SP2 when it crits, that's 100k non-crit there. Block the last hit. Going to try and land a heavy attack here, complete the prompt. Block the last hit of his SP1. Go for our SP1 soon to put on our passives if we can. Block the hit. Block the last hit of his SP1. We're going for our SP3 rotation here again. We'll go for our SP3. Put on our passive. And normally you want to build up to just under 2 bars of power with Anti-Venom so that you can throw off that SP1 and then quickly get to your SP2 to get those Furies. But his playstyle is a little bit stressful to manage all those passives and the timers, because if Airwalker doesn't play ball, it's going to be a problem. So here we're going to go for our SP1, put both our passives on ourselves, and now we're going to just try and rush up to our SP2 to get our Furies and get the big damage, and from there we're just going to want to do some basic hits and refresh everything with our SP1. So now we have 7 Furies on ourselves. We're just going to be spamming our SP1s to refresh our passives and weave in those heavy attacks and strikers when we can. Now go for our SP1, refresh our passive, You see we're doing big damage with our basic hits from the Furies, and our SP1 is doing a lot of damage from the number of debuffs on him. Go for the SP2 there. Go for another SP2. We are up to 14 Furies. We built up just under 3 bars, but unfortunately our passive is going to fall off there. We tried to refresh with the SP1 a little bit too late. You can see we're healing up quite a bit, almost 1.7k a tick. Hitting pretty hard here. Gonna block the last hit of that SP1. Go in for the heavy attack. Block the last hit of the SP1 again. And now we're just going to go for an SP2. Here, we're taking a lot of block damage from this beam. So we're just going to try and get as much damage as possible, leave in those heavy attacks. Block the last hit of that SP1. Go for our SP1. He's not really throwing that SP1. We're trying to bait it out of him. Block the last hit. We got that Dark Tide debuff on us, so we really do want to throw an SP1 here as quickly as possible to avoid that damage. We go for it. Get him over 13 bars. And now we're going to be taking this SP2 to the block, but unfortunately the block damage has just built up a little bit too much and we die. But now for my favorite and a little bit of a sleeper option here is America Chavez, because she's going to be doing a lot more damage based on all the buffs that Airwalker is going to be getting. We're going to be reducing his ability power rate from our negative zone passive. We're going to be reducing the power of his Furies from our orange passive there, and we're going to be regenning a lot, which is the key to this entire fight, from our blue passive and our massive SP2s. So the goal of this fight with America Chavez is just to make sure that we have all 3 of our dimensions up. We're going to be trying to land as many negative zone dimensions as possible to reduce his ability power rate, and then go for those massive SP2s with either the orange or blue passive as needed. We're going to be going for the orange passive if we're pretty topped up, because that's just going to give us extra attack. And we're going to be going for the blue passive if we need to regen some of that damage back. And since our SP2s are going to be landing for an insane amount of damage, we're actually going to be healing for quite a bit. Now we're going to be using our SP1s to kind of purify those Dark Tide debuffs off of us and also build up some of that power getting back to our SP2. We heavy cancel into the Striker there. Block the last hit of that SP1. Now we're going to be going for an SP2 when we can, just building up some more of our dimensions. Going for our SP2 with the blue zone active. And you can see we're hitting pretty hard here, even just on our base hits because of the buffs and all the dimensions that we have active. Going for our SP1 to build up some power. Building up to our SP2 if we can. We'll go for our another full heavy attack for the negative zone dimension, reducing his ability power rate even more. Block the last hit here. Then go for a heavy attack, blue. And then we go into our SP2, massive SP2 to heal any of the chip damage we've taken in this fight. We're back up to a full yellow bar. Go for our Striker, go for a heavy attack, put on another negative zone dimension, block the last hit of that SP1 there, parry into a heavy attack, another negative zone dimension. Normally we want to sit around 2 to 3 of those negative zone dimensions, the purple passive that we have on ourselves, to reduce his ability power rate so it doesn't get too far out of control. Go for our SP2 with the blue dimension active. Go for another heavy attack. We really want to make sure that our dimensions stay active there. We're going to go for a heavy attack. I think we were trying to go for an SP1, but we didn't quite have enough power. Go for a heavy cancel into SP1. Block the last hit, here's SP1. Heavy cancel into Striker. Go for a heavy attack into SP1, which gives us enough power for an SP2 here. We are more than likely going to be going for the orange dimension here. Sorry, we're going to go for the blue dimension here. Heal up some of this damage that we are dealing. Go for another heavy attack. We're already up to 5 bars here, so we're going to be healing in those heavy attacks, but that's not going to be a problem for us because that's just part of our natural rotation there. Put back on our orange dimension, cancel it into an SP1. Block the last hit of his SP1. Go for a heavy cancel into our SP1. We're at a full yellow bar still. Haven't taken any damage in this fight. We've healed up any of the chip damage we've taken. Go for an SP2 with our blue dimension active. Block the last hits of his SP2. We take a little bit of chip damage there, but we're not too worried because we're going to be healing that all back up from our SP2s. Go for our striker. Trying to bait out his SP1. Block the last hit. Heavy cancel into SP1. Block the last hit of his SP1. We're going to be going for a big heavy attack here. Block the last hit of his SP1. We're going to heavy cancel into an SP2 here. And yeah, this is just kind of the flow of the overall Airwalker Solo Coliseum fight. The nodes aren't really that problematic. It's just Airwalker in general, mixed with his increased combat power rate and increased attack that you're going to be getting from the Coliseum, that you have to block the last of his special attack. It just, the block damage starts to add up over time, which is where a lot of champions start to fail. And I should mention that both Anti-Venom and Chavez here are both rank 3, so if you have a rank 4 of either of these champions, you're going to be doing a lot more bars. I would imagine that both of these champions can easily get within the 15 to 20 bar range, but we're only going to be getting around that 13 bar range just because we have a lower power level from our rank 3s there. Block the last hit of the SP2, go into a heavy cancel into SP1, and you see our power is already back up to 1.5 bars because we have all 3 of our dimensions active. Want to make sure that we always have all 3 of our dimensions active so we're getting full benefits when we're landing our special attacks. Big SP2 there. Need to land a few more heavy attacks to get some more of our negative zone dimensions up. Full heavy attack. Now we're up to 3 negative zone dimensions, but our orange dimension has fallen off, so we're going to be heavy canceling into our SP1. And we have all 3 of our dimensions active now. Going for a heavy cancel into striker. Another big heavy attack. Block the last hit of his SP1. Go for a big SP2 here, if we can. We have all 3 of our dimensions active, so this would be a perfect time to heavy cancel into SP2. And since we have that blue dimension active, we're going to be healing a lot back. We jumped up all the way up to 87%. And we are still constantly healing from willpower from that indefinite arm break debuff that we have on us. And you can see we're managing the Dark Tide debuffs pretty well on ourselves just from the sheer number of special attacks we're throwing in both fights, really. There's only a few seconds, really, that we have that Dark Tide debuff on us, so we're taking some significant damage. Block the last hit with SP1. Heavy cancel from the striker. Now we're going to heavy cancel into SP2, and we're going to be going all the way up to 77%. Gonna have to block the last hit of the SP2s here, so that's some significant chip damage. So now the chip damage is kind of outpacing any of the regen we can do, so it's going to be lights out for us pretty soon. Go for the SP1, block the last hit of his SP1, go for a heavy attack. Got all our dimensions active still. Block his special as we need to do. Heavy cancel into our special attack. Let's see how much regen we can get. Not too much anymore. Those Dark Tide debuffs and the block damage is really starting to get onto us. We were able to perfect parry there, so that was really lucky on our part. Bait out his SP2. Take that into the block. We're really starting to take some major block damage now. Still hitting pretty hard though. His combat power rate has gotten up there, even with our negative zone dimensions, though, just from the Coliseum nodes. Go for a massive SP2 here. We're going to be taking this SP2 into the block. Or no, we're just going to be dodging it, taking the Dark Tide debuffs, actually. Block the last hit of the special attack. Because if we did take that SP2 into the block, we would have just died. We died from the Dark Tide debuffs anyway, but we were able to get a few last hits into place. But this was the Airwalker fight. I hope you did enjoy it and learned how to fight this guy a little bit better. And if you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the good buttons, and I will see you in the next one.